That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking. Talking the way we did before the internet, when you could not prove anyone right or wrong, and all the expertise was contained in the people involved in the conversation. I hope you enjoy our conversations, and as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, "That don't sound right," send us a comment. You're one of us. Enjoy the show. Hey, Al.
Hey, Dad.
So we're releasing the 13th episode of That Don't Sound Right tonight.
It's your Taylor Swift episode.
That don't sound right. Hey, this is That Don't Sound Right, a podcast available on Podbean. I'm Cecil Davis.
Hey, and I'm Peter Billman.
All right, so we're back tonight. We're going to kick off our first topic after finishing our origin story last time. Peter, as you know, my car was stolen earlier this year. We'll leave out the make and model of the car, but it was taken from under my carport.
That is so bizarre. How that could happen.
Right.
But yeah, go ahead and tell
the
story, tell the clues. I mean,
my dog didn't bark. My dog did bark the next day at some flowers, but did not bark as my car was being stolen.
Dog barks at me when I get around the block.
Yes. My dog barks at lots of things, but not my car being stolen.
How is that possible?
So, woke up on Sunday morning. Christy said, "I think your car's been stolen." Immediately told her she was wrong. Go to the window. Sure enough, my car is not there. So I start to think, okay, what have I done with my car? I question one of my children whether they have taken my car and done something with it, which was they had not. So my car was truly stolen. Police came, asked some questions, but
it must have been a pretty bizarre feeling to have something that big and valuable taken from literally under your nose.
Absolutely. Now here's the odd part. I was watching that night. I was up late. I was up past midnight watching Gone in 60 Seconds. So I finished watching Gone in 60 Seconds. I go to the kitchen window. I look out, and I think I remember seeing my car at that point.
Okay.
So sometime between 12:30, 1 o'clock, and 7 in the morning.
Cecil, the nutty thing is, I was just not that long ago getting a new key for my car. And I had to jump through so many hoops to get that thing to work with my car. There's procedures with computers, or there's other procedures where you can open the door and close the door and turn the key. And there's probably like 24 steps to make a key work with a car.
Right.
So tell me your car did not have a chip key in it.
It did have a chip key.
Unbelievable.
Right. So the mistake I've made that many, many, many people have pointed out is that I left my car unlocked.
Well, let's talk about that, Cecil.
Yeah. So that would have been the first thing, because it does have a security system.
Okay.
But I leave my car unlocked because once a year, somebody comes to the neighborhood and cleans out cars. So my theory has always been, nobody's going to steal the car because I have an older car. I mean, the car is almost 20 years old.
Sure. But it's probably a desirable car.
Right. And so I always thought, well, if I leave it unlocked, they'll just steal the stuff in it and not break the door, break the lock, break the window.
But have people broken windows to get into cars around here?
No.
Okay. All right.
But I didn't want it to happen.
I mean, I've had loose change and a cell phone taken out of my car, but I left it unlocked too.
Right.
And they were just opening doors looking for stuff they could get real quick. But I hadn't had anyone break a window to get to anything.
But in my mind,
I understand.
This is what I was doing. So I left my car unlocked.
Okay.
But, so just to skip forward a little bit, my car was recovered 6 weeks later, running. Everything was fine with it. There was no damage to my car.
Except the smell.
Except the smell.
It was like a Seinfeld episode.
It was a heavy, heavy cigarette smell. So my car was recovered in a local Burger King drive-thru. The people had ordered, pulled forward, car cut off, they abandoned it, and the Burger King people called in a parking violation. Police came, realized it was my car, gave me a call.
You can't make this stuff up, Cecil.
No. So, here were the clues that I gave you. If you recall.
Right.
So the shift lever locking cover was off.
Okay.
My jumper cables were in the back seat. There was a hoodie. All my CDs were gone. 3 new CDs were in my CD changer, which were not my CDs. A DMX and 2 Luke Combs CDs were now in the car.
Do you still have those CDs?
Ella does.
Okay, all right.
My sunglasses were still there. Olivia's parking pass was still there. There was a gold chain with a cross.
Not yours.
Not mine. A mask.
Not yours.
Nope. And an Eaton box or bag of Haribo gummies. Oh, and a gallon of oil in the back seat, which I never figured that out either.
Right.
And one of the battery cables was loose.
On the battery itself.
Yes. Positive terminal.
So how do they do this? I mean,
Well, this is what we discussed.
I mean, the chip key virtually makes this impossible. You can start the car, you can make it turn over, but the car won't ignite. Either the fuel pump doesn't turn on or the ignition doesn't fire. So the car will not catch and keep running.
And the mechanic said it looked almost like somebody had started my car with the key. There was no damage to my car.
Right. The column wasn't damaged or anything. No cut wires for any kind of hot wiring or anything like that.
It's run perfectly since getting back.
Right.
Yeah.
So the question is, how did they do this? And so a little research. One of the first things that he discovered is that this particular brand of car is susceptible to what's called a jiggler key. You can take a key and cut off the edges of it, make it smooth, and you can put the key in and you jiggle it, and it'll actually engage the tumblers, and you can turn the ignition. So that solves the first problem.
Right. And so to build on that, I think they used that key to unlock the shifter and push my car out to the street.
Oh, yeah. Well, you don't even need a key to do a shifter. You can
Really?
pop the cover off. You can use a screwdriver.
Right.
Anything that's the same shape of that key, all you're doing is depressing a lockout so you can move the shifter into neutral.
So now my car is on the street.
They had to have moved it out there because the dog would have barked. I mean, the dog.
We hope.
They had to move it out there.
So my car's on the street.
Now they've got the jiggler
It's
key.
unlocked.
Right.
Jiggler key.
They can do the jiggler key. So that at least gets you to be able to start it. But how do you get around the chip key problem?
Right.
So evidently, there's all kinds of different ways you can make the car talk to the key. That's essentially what you have to do. Is the car has to be able to listen to the key. And that was the problem I was having with my own car. I bought a key, it wouldn't talk. You had to either get on a computer or do some kind of weird voodoo magic to make it happen. So turns out they make devices that essentially simulate the computer and tell the car, listen to this particular key.
Right.
And it's temporary. You got to have the device there with it.
Right. And this was the missing piece, really, that you discovered. Is that this particular model has 6 open slots.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the other tricky part is that cars have a finite number of keys they can listen to. Right. And one of the things we need to find out, just to confirm our suspicion, is to find out how many slots are taken up in the memory of your car.
Right. Are there more slots taken up than what I have keys for?
Right.
Because I had and still have all the keys for it.
Right. So if there's any one more, then that's what they did.
Yeah. It proves our theory.
That'd be.
And these guys had to be working fast.
Fast and quiet.
And quiet. Out on the street. Or girls.
But you've seen Gone in 60 Seconds, so you know that it can happen.
I was watching Gone in 60 Seconds as my car was being stolen. Or just prior to.
Maybe keep the volume down on your TV, because maybe the dog heard the TV and didn't hear the commotion going on outside.
Right. I was watching TV, completely riveted by Nicolas Cage. So now I lock my car.
Well, and you also put a club on it, don't you?
Yes. And have contemplated a kill switch.
What about a boot? Have you booted the tire?
I have not booted the tire, but I have barred it. I have clubbed it.
And there's ways around the club, I believe, aren't there?
According to Gone in 60 Seconds, there are.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll have to refer to that as our next.
Right. But at least I
Homework.
will not make it easy the next time. At least
gonna
my car
slow 'em down.
slow them down a little bit.
If you lock it, the horn should go off.
Yes. That's the thing that they had going for them, is that they didn't have to overcome the door.
Right.
Had they had to overcome the door, I don't think they would have stolen it.
I would tend to agree. However, Gone in 60 Seconds would tell you otherwise.
I just don't know how they would have defeated the door. Unless there's a device. And there could be.
There could be a device.
You never know.
So we had a lot of red herrings, I think, in this case.
Right.
The hoodie,
Yes.
the oil,
Yes.
the gold chain
The
had
yes.
nothing to do
Had
with
nothing to do
stealing
with-
your car.
no. And I really would like to figure out the oil thing, though. Like, why was there a gallon of oil in my car? My car doesn't burn oil. It doesn't smoke. Had new. I mean, why would you have a gallon of oil?
They didn't know that.
I guess not.
They
Maybe
didn't know that. That
here's-
might be a standard kit for stealing cars. You know, you've got your device, you got your jiggler key, you got your jumper cables, because in the process of trying to start it and get it to work,
Yeah.
you might kill the battery. So
Right.
you always have your jumper cables. And lastly, you got a quart of oil in
was a
case
gallon.
is a gallon?
gallon of oil. Now, my brother gave me
Was there
one.
oil in the container?
Yeah, it was a
It
full
was.
gallon.
It was oil.
Yeah.
But it was oil.
Yeah. Oil.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So my brother gave me a clue. He has heard that potentially people that steal cars will take them and rent them out. So I
Yeah.
think the people that were in my car at Burger King were not the people that stole it. I think they had gotten it from the people that stole it had rented my car out for the day. These people were just driving it. They didn't have the car was started, but they didn't have a way to restart it when it cut
Right.
out. Yeah.
Right. Because you can take the device off and the car should still keep running.
Right. Right.
Very interesting.
Well, that concludes another episode for us, Peter.
Well, that was, I tell you what, that whole problem of thinking through how that car was really, a lot of things we came up with just didn't sound right, but I think we came to a conclusion, and we tried not to reveal too much of the facts. We don't want to encourage or train anyone else on how to steal particular vehicles.
Absolutely. So thank y'all for being here. I'm Cecil Davis.
And this is Peter Billen.
Y'all have a good evening.